All right, welcome back. We're going to begin this segment with our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Night from Michael Giardi of the NFL Network. This is what the Patriots have done today. They gave a ton of money to Jonnu Smith, who I like. I think he's a good up-and-coming tight end, but $50 million. Also, Nelson Aguilar gets 2 years, 26. You got Kendrick Bourne. You have Matthew Judon, who gets over 50 to go there from Baltimore. Jalen Mills is a good defensive back. Chris, they're going out, and they had a lot of money to spend, and they're spending it. And now we see finally the Cincinnati Bengals look like they're going to get somebody. Trey Hendrickson, who was, I think, one of the top pass rushers. I don't know how many sacks, but he had double digits with New Orleans. It looks like he is going to Cincinnati. So busy day, but are you surprised how fast and furious New England came out of the gates?
A little bit, just because it's so not in keeping with Belichick's stated style, where he's always the guy getting compensatory picks and sort of building a team that way. But they had the money. I think there is some pressure that he might be putting on himself. He just sees Tom Brady win the breakup by going to Tampa and winning a Super Bowl. I think they're trying to revamp this thing very quickly. And it tells me, by the way, that they think Cam Newton's real problem was that he didn't have enough help around him. I mean, look at what they're doing for him on offense. Jonnu Smith's a very good football player. Aguilar, I think, is a solid receiver. Kendrick Bourne, I believe, has been a reliable red zone target. They're trying to give Cam Newton the tools to succeed. It's out of character for Belichick, but it makes them a little bit more interesting. Does it make them better than the Bills? No. Does it even make them better than the Dolphins? Not necessarily, but it makes them a lot better than they were last season.
Still no word on Juju Smith-Schuster. That'll happen, you would think, soon. We'll talk about that. But one thing the Steelers are going to get, plenty of compensatory picks next year with all these losses, and that can add up in terms of numbers of picks. Let's go to the Lions, Chris. We begin with Tim in Pittsburgh. Hey, Tim, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, gentlemen. Good to see you both, although your jackets are pretty busy there.
Well, it's springtime. We're thinking spring here, you know.
Well, I thought my TV was broken, but I digress. Anyway, I, for one, think that Tennessee overpaid for Dupree and Matt Filer. I've never liked him. I thought he wasn't very good. So San Diego.
Steelers did him no favors making him play guard this past year. He was perfectly fine at right tackle.
And he was good.
I think that was a big number for him to get from the Chargers, but I'm kind of disappointed to already hear some of this, they overpaid for guys. Well, that's what happens in free agency. I would much rather have Bud Dupree on the Steelers next year than on the Tennessee Titans, but that was never going to be the case. I think you're trying to rationalize the fact that this roster is getting cleaned out a little bit if you're telling yourself that so-and-so is getting overpaid, whether or not it's true.
They have to make room for T.J. Watt. They have to make room for Minkah Fitzpatrick. There are a lot of deals down the road they're going to have to make. They can't give everyone these kinds of deals. And so that was certainly something that was expected. And I thought maybe $10 million higher than I had thought. I was thinking about in the 70s, but he's, $35 million, I think it is guaranteed out of that. Pretty good deal. And he deserved it because Bud Dupree faced a lot of adversity. He overcame it. A lot of people didn't think they should pick up his option when they did. They did. They believed in him, and he did finally produce what they thought out of that number one pick. Let's go to Glenn in Baltimore. What's up, Glenn? How are you?
I'm good, Bob. So I wanted to ask you, do you think the addition of Ron Hextall in the front office at general manager has been the reason why Tristan Jari's play has been so much better since Jim Rutherford left?
I don't think it can hurt. He's got a goaltender as his boss now.
Wake-up call.
Yeah, and I think he probably.
Well,
would
he had a
tell you
goaltender as his boss before with Rutherford.
Well, but
I'm
talking about one that was, more well known.
One that once chased a penguin around the ice and tried to kill him, basically.
But Robbie Brown benefited from that.
Yes.
I thought he became a star.
Absolutely. Well, playing with Mario Lemieux as your center also helped Robbie Brown. But yes, it's Robbie Brown's most famous moment. I truly believe, though, that the idea that, hey, just a shakeup in the front office, whether the team was planning it or not, it's pretty obvious they weren't. Jim Rutherford did this very suddenly. I think it's pretty clear, though, that those kind of shakeups, when they happen, regardless of the reason, get everybody on the roster's attention, and suddenly you get a sharpness if it's a talented roster that's been underperforming because they know they're on notice. Ron Hextall doesn't necessarily have a reputation as a wheeler and dealer and a horse trader like Rutherford did, but he's also a guy that wasn't going to be afraid, I think, to remake this franchise in his image and likeness. Also, with Burke in there, too, it's the same thing, maybe multiplied. He's not going to hesitate if he thinks a move needs to be made. So everybody's playing better. It's not all that surprising, really.
No, it isn't. And when you're not attached to the new guys, you better step up. I mean, that's a message that I think every one of those players probably felt when they took over. It will be interesting to see at the trade deadline what they do, because now they're in sort of a quandary position. 3 weeks ago, people were saying, well, you know, they're going to have to maybe try to bring some more assets into their program here in terms of minor leaguers or more draft picks or bring in prospects. Now, all of a sudden, it's win now. It's been win now, but I think more than it was before, Chris, it is win now. They have a chance in this division, and the way it's structured this year, you just play your own division. There's not a team in that division right now, the way they're playing, that they cannot beat and get to really the Final Four.
Yeah, if they've actually solved the New York Islanders a little bit with the way they've played against them, there's not a team that scares me. I still have to see them actually deliver the goods if they end up getting to the point where they play the Islanders in the playoffs. But yeah, it still has to be win now. I mean, I thought they were going to miss the playoffs before the season started, maybe as a good team that just was the victim of a really good division. But they're proving to be a little bit more beastly than I thought they were capable of. And when a goaltender or goaltenders are playing this way, the way that they're getting it from Jari and DeSmith, there's no reason to kind of throttle down the expectations or anything else. If your goalies are hot and you're winning games, why would the expectations suddenly downshift here? It should keep going to the moon for the Penguins.
And I thought the East was going to be the top to bottom most talented. I was wrong on that. I think when you look at Tampa Bay, Carolina, and the Florida Panthers, who have really taken off under Joe Quenneville, I mean, that's a very good division over there. So will be interesting to see. Before we go to the break, let's go to Mike in Ross Township. Mike joins us on the Borders and Borders hotline. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that someone finally gave Malkin some credit. Who was the one that wanted to trade him? And Letang said, look, Malkin was slow. He couldn't skate anymore. Was that Chris or was that Pony? And also about Roethlisberger, he should retire. His arm's dead. They don't know what they're talking about. I liked it better when you had Gene and Ron Cook on there. They were
All right. So,
unbelievable friendly fire. I was born and raised in Ross Township, and I'm getting unbelievable friendly fire from a guy who can't even decide whether I or Filipponi said something. Mike, at least figure out who's saying the things you don't like before you call in and yell at us. You're like a scattergun of bad takes.
Well,
as for Malkin, he got in shape, by the way, in all seriousness. I mean, he got into game
legs.
shape.
And he just his legs.
Well,
didn't
that's
look
what I
good
mean.
at
That's
all.
what I mean. His legs were slow. He was taking way too many hits. Pierre Maguire said that to us a bunch. Now he's not taking hits. He's gliding along, and I think he looks like the guy that was the best player on the roster last year before COVID hit.
Yeah. So, and that's great news for them because he still has a lot left in the tank when he's skating like this. And remember, last year he had a really good season before the shutdown and then before the bubble situation. But I don't think anyone was into it for whatever reason back then. This is a whole new situation here, and I have a feeling the Penguins, if they continue to go along this route here, are going to be, the team along with the Islanders, and probably, I still think Washington's not going to make it. I'm not a big believer in Washington. We'll talk about that when we come back. We're up against the break. It's 412-575-2600 right here live. It's Pittsburgh CW.